Hello and welcome to Rise the Victor. I'm Chris Meaden and I'm here with Lindsay, my wife. So we're going to be talking about a technique which I was introduced to a few years ago.
How do you pronounce it?
And we've been debating how we pronounce it. I realise I've been pronouncing it wrong for the last few years. How it's a Japanese release tension technique. Effectively what it is it allows us to rebalance our body and change our energy flow. And I've been calling it Jin Shin Jyutsu.
And it's actually pronounced
Jin Shin Jyutsu. Do you want to just do it on the thing?
Yeah, this is how I've Googled how to pronounce it. So wait for it. Listen.
Come on, slow. So
listen.
Jin Shin Jyutsu.
So, this technique, I've been using it with clients for many years now. It's a really interesting technique and it's a hands-on exercise. And obviously, with COVID-19, I couldn't apply it to someone. But this is a process where we are changing the flow of energy to heal different parts of it. It allows us to heal energy flow from disease, anxiety. It's practiced in Japan. And what we're able to do is collapse, because when we think about, we've talked about havening,
which is psychosensory,
and psychosensory means adding additional sensory input for the purposes of changing a state. And so we have havening, which is application of touch. Then we have TFT, and which is thought field therapy, tapping, where we're tapping, adding a tapping. Same with emotional freedom technique as well, which is similar to TFT. So, an EMDR is moving the eye movement side to side, which is and various eye accessing movements. They're all adding an additional sensory input to change a certain response we have to a stressor or to a certain situation. And basically, how Jin Shin Jyutsu, I can't believe
you're really emphasising the oot.
Works is that you're effectively squeezing different. Your hands are acting as a bit like jump leads, just like jump leads you'd have to jump a car battery. You're effectively changing the flow of energy so that you become a connector between different parts of the body. And what it does is it basically changes the signals back to the intercentral nervous system and changes some of the responses. So I'm going to go through a few of these different things that you can do, these different parts where you can touch to actually change certain responses. Now this one I did with you, Lindsay, about a month ago, because I was going through with the book and there was a seminar, a webinar on this. And this is an aspect when you hug yourself. Effectively, part of how havening works is a sense of feeling safe. And when we have a hug and we're cuddled, it triggers a signal inside our brain to feel a sense of safety. Now, this particular technique is actually using both hands, and actually instead of hugging yourself on the outside of your arms, you actually put your hands under your armpits. So you've got your both thumbs pointing up, and the rest of your palms actually in your armpits, effectively.
So this really warms up your hands.
Yeah, well, you were quite swearing. Well, what the hell? Well, we won't say what it said. Me? Because it was such a shock.
What was a shock?
What it was doing in terms of... Because what happens is we become aware of a pulsing sensation, and effectively... what we can feel is like a pulse on one side and the other side, and they're both opposite to each other. And effectively, by holding this position for a period of a few minutes, those pulsings start to become in alignment.
It's really important to remember to drop your shoulders, because I noticed when I first did this, my shoulders were automatically just rising up. So I was actually feeling really tense. But if you drop your shoulders...
Well, if I describe exactly how you do this, so they call this... there's effectively 26 positions, and they call safety positions on the body where you can apply these different touch points. And effectively saying, hold both of these points, 26 under your arms, at the same time by hugging yourself, and hold the centre of your palms of your hands, and hold your hands... Fold your hands, actually hold the left side with your right hand and the left. So effectively, you're crossing over your hands, effectively. So it's a hug. So I think their instructions are pretty poor, actually. But just by applying this position, you become aware of a energy flow, and you may feel pulsing, and just basically sit with it for a few minutes. And what I will do is sort of start to become in alignment. Now, it does actually deal with a number of other issues, doesn't it, Lindsay? Mm-hmm. Do you want to list them? Oh,
okay, yeah. Physical, tennis elbow, golf elbow, pain when raising the arms, numbness in the ring and little fingers, lymphatic diseases, prevention of tumours and cysts, and on the mental, emotional side, stress, lack of vitality, and brings inner peace.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm actually sitting here doing this right now. I'm feeling quite good, actually. So, this is just by practicing this will change. You'll notice the changes. And if you do this repetitively over the course of a few days, you become more in tune to it, and it will have a positive impact on it. And then I think the most obvious or the most talked about techniques is actually about applying touch to your fingers and thumbs. And what I mean by that is that if you, for example, are worrying or ruminating, having fear when thoughts and feelings are running in circles, which, a lot of people have, we're able to effectively, you can do this with the left hand and the right hand. In fact, it's good to do it onto both. But effectively, you clasp your thumb with your other hand, and you grip your thumb and just holding it in position. And what that does is that basically stops the worry response. Now, what does that mean? Well, it's not a case of that you can't worry, but it sort of seems to switch off the physical responses to the worry. So it's now, and what I've observed with this technique is that some people it's digital. It's almost it's on or it's off. Some people express it that it's an analog shift, it's a reduction. And I haven't really got to the bottom as to why there's one or the other, but certainly by basically clasping your thumb with your other hand and squeezing it to the point where you get a sense of the circulation of the blood through your thumb, it tends to switch off the signal in your body for that worry. And this is really good for feeling unloved and for developing self-confidence. And this is a technique you can do on both the left thumb and the right thumb, just holding those for a period of 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes. And it sounds a bit weird, talking about squeezing thumbs and squeezing fingers, but effectively each part of the body represents a different part of the physicality. Now, I've been telling you about the mental emotional state. We've got digestive system, being overweight, eating disorders, colic, vomiting, diabetes, stomach. A whole range of conditions can be changed by just squeezing your thumb on either hand for a period of a few minutes a day. Now, as I said, every finger has a different emotional, physical connection.
So I'm just looking at this. So this is the first depth.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. Now, the thing is, when we talk about depths, there's different levels of depths of energy flow, and they categorise it like with a...
Okay, so so the meaning, should I just read this out?
Yeah.
The first depth corresponds to the energy body of the physical body, the sacred temple where the soul lives. The correlated planet is Saturn, guardian of the threshold. It confines us to this body and forms the surface skin. The first depth strengthens tissue and holds the organs in place. The first depth is linked to childhood, which is about being nurtured on every level through parental love, the world's solicitude, and not least nourishment. This phase is important for developing a healthy self-esteem as well as love, empathy, and sympathy. It's linked to physical growth. It transforms nutritional energy into bodily energy. Here, disharmony between stomach, spleen and pancreas tends to arise. Okay.
And effectively, we've got 6 steps. We have, and they classified by yellow, white, green, blue, red, red.
So this is yellow.
That's the first step. Yeah. And look, this book which we're recording and the cards are actually available on Amazon. And I've had my kit for years now, and I refer to it from time to time. It's really very powerful, and I think this cost about £25. I think you want, so pretty cheap really for you to be able to change your state. But effectively, our thumb is the first step, and effectively each finger and thumb is a different depth of energy flow.
So this is the thumb is a good one at the moment, because obviously it deals on the mental, emotional side of worry,
and rumination,
fear, thoughts and feelings when they're running in circles, wishes and aversions, feeling unloved, developing a healthy self-confidence, defining oneself, nourishing oneself and others.
Yeah. And there is actually quite effectively we have.
Okay. You're just showing me the book.
Yeah. So there's like a coloured hand of the different aspects, and it's quite interesting because there's some conflict to of the fingers being around the wrong way and what's being stated and how it is, but because I've always seen your pinky. To dealing with anger, and what you can do is effectively squeeze your little finger down or pull it down so there's pressure, and that collapses anger. Likewise, if you are doing TFT, you tap your little finger to collapse anger. So the little finger, your pinky, is actually collapses anger, and that can be either your left hand or your right hand. Whichever you want to use to collapse anger. So
looking at the ring finger is for grief, sadness, your lungs, and large intestine.
Which
obviously right now all those areas quite especially grief and sadness. And then so middle finger. So here it says middle finger is for anger and rage, liver and gallbladder.
That's the two, and you've got the conflict of being the other way around.
And the baby finger here, or pinky, pretense, trying, the heart and the small intestine.
Yeah.
Then the forefinger is fear.
Yeah.
Your kidneys and bladder. And then your thumb, worry, rumination, stomach and spleen.
Yeah.
And then the middle of your palm, harmony, basic trust, diaphragm, and the umbilicus.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So actually, I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. There's some really good YouTube videos on these techniques. So
just Google.
Well, we'll put them in the show notes. In fact, it'll probably be on we'll put them on chrismeadenonline.com. And we're actually going to be setting up a Facebook group as well, so we'll probably put more content in the Facebook group going forward. But basically, which will be Rise the Victor Facebook group. But basically, you can effectively go, and obviously we're talking about the different elements to this, just to give you an insight, and we're reading from the book and from the different cards. But I've always found these to be really powerful just by squeezing your fingers, going around in sequence effectively, and just doing it for a few minutes in the mornings and evenings, and it just naturally pretty much does like a reset. And the more you practice it, the more powerful it becomes, just like anything really. Practice makes perfect.
Practice makes better.
All right, okay. I was waiting for you to pick me up on all. So, it's just another technique which I've used a lot with people, because it's one of those things which is easy to remember. You're effectively squeezing your fingers, your digits, and I provide that picture with the coloured hands, and I was going to get it on a key fob at one point, so you could just remember it, but just going through it. And of course, so many of those different emotions are being expressed in different forms with what we have with COVID-19. So, obviously you have grief and loss, and we have anger, we have fear, we have the whole gamut of emotions. Mm-hmm. So it's a really powerful technique. It's free of charge, effectively. You're only using your hands and pressure points.
You've always got your hands with you and your fingers. You don't need to remember anything.
Healing's always in your hands.
Always in your hands, absolutely.
Yeah. But what we'll do is we'll drop in the show notes the link to Amazon. We're not getting any It's not an affiliate link or anything. It's just just an information point. And we'll probably put videos in there as well, which you can jump off to YouTube. But we will be putting them in the Facebook group as well. So yeah, it's a really, really powerful technique. Just another, a useful technique to use. I've used a number of. There's some quite advanced techniques in here as well, where there's a full body reset, which is a bit weird because you actually. I've used this with people who have been runners who've had physical injuries, and they've even been days away from running the marathon. I've had people who haven't been able to walk properly on coming in with crutches, and I've used this and it's changed how they walk and they're able to be mobile. And it does sound a bit, that sounds a bit of a miracle, but and I'd sometimes think, wow, this is incredible. And they've come back and said, yeah, that's been a positive shift. So there's definitely something in it. And this one is really weird. It's opposite finger and toe flow. So effectively this needs two people, and the person lies down on a couch, on the floor, whatever, and we effectively, if you are touching your left big toe, you are touching your right, the right hand little finger, I think it is. So hold the left thumb with one hand and the right little toe with the other until it begins to pulsate. So again, your body is acting as a jumper to allow flow to flow through your body and back across the midline of the person. And effectively you go moving from each finger all the way across until you do both feet. So, and it takes about 20 to 30 minutes, but it is quite amazing. And I've used this because it's a bit of a weird thing, doing mind stuff. I get all kinds of people coming with all kinds of conditions. And I always say, look, do you want to try this thing out? See if it works. I've tried it out, and most people, yeah, let's have a go. And we've come back with some really amazing results. So it's really interesting to look at. You get basically, you can buy the little book, but you can have the cards, which are really powerful, flashcards, and they have instructions of how to do it. So do have a look at it. And as I said, we'll put the detail in the notes. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Obviously, it's a bit. Again, it's one of these things which is very unknown but very powerful. So yeah, drop us an email to podcast@chrismeaden.com. Do like and share and subscribe to this podcast if you enjoyed it, and do provide a review. Reviews really help us to get more readership and more people listening to this, and obviously to get better rankings. So if you can follow the link, that'd be fantastic to give us a review as well. So any other thoughts, Lindsay?
No, I think that's been quite interesting.
Cool. Okay, so until next time, bye for now.
Bye.